Hello and welcome to another edition of the SportsHeads on Verge Magazine and Alt Sport. You have joined the hurry up again. Once again, I'm your host, Andre Dixon. In my bunker, basement, studio, home studio. Everyone's got studio lights in their bedroom. I don't want to know any more than that. I'm joined by Sam Morgan and once again by the amazing Hannah Wilkes. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. You're talking about studio lights. I've actually got you ready for this. Disco lights.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. How are both of you guys?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
I'm lightless though. I've got standard lights. If that helps.
I know. Your stuff is you're looking real basic over there compared to.
I am real basic today.
You're still well lit, so you're fine. I'm in a corner of an otherwise very dark room, so I need it.
as long as we can see you, that's the main thing, you know. But yeah, we've got lots to go through. I am absolutely loving this season. Before I get into this next bit, I think this is actually becoming my favourite season. I don't know why, but there's I feel that there's more action than normal. It's definitely more. The fans haven't made as much of a difference as it does on like the Premier League football and stuff like that. The atmosphere is still the same, and I'm just absolutely loving it. But yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, I think you can get away with not having fans when you've got 106 players there for every game. There's still a bit of atmosphere, right? And the high scoring we've had. It's been amazing. It's a shame that there haven't been fans to be there, but I agree with you. This season is something else.
It is, honestly. Sam, you enjoying it?
Well, yeah, the Cardinals have got a winning record, so of course I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I'll take it whilst we can. But yeah, no, it's you know what? It's something for everyone at the moment. 'Cause again, on fantasy as well, you can't actually just be ready a couple of days before the COVID restrictions. Injuries are obviously taking part even more so, I think, at the moment. And purely, I think it's down to the fact that there was a lack of snaps because there was no pre-season. So we've now slow start. Some people have got ahead, and some people are now playing catch up. Unless you're someone in New York.
Well, there's two neighbours in New York who are just as equally as crap, but we'll definitely get to that in a bit. Just before we get started, obviously we're missing one of the gang, Dan, who's working on another project for us at the moment. But Dan, after last time Hannah made quite disparaging remarks about the 49ers team.
One comment.
All it took.
Come on,
we
got to hang on to that. You know us too well.
This has been haunting me ever since I said it, to be honest.
Well, I'm gonna cut to reminding you guys about what Hannah said, and then here's also what Dan has said in reply. Dan's message for the gang, especially Hannah. Here it is. Remember, this is the only time that Dak Prescott has actually been injured since he started. So therefore, I think he's quite durable. He'll come back stronger. But I'm hoping, you know, for him that if he doesn't get that money, then he goes to a competitive team like the 49ers or something like that. Because obviously, maybe there's big questions about Garoppolo at the moment.
The 49ers aren't competitive.
I don't need.
Look at this. Look at this. This 49ers fans, please, at Hannah. We'll put her details down below. Yeah, let her know.
They just lost to the Dolphins. That is not an inaccurate statement. They're currently not competitive.
Hey, give Fitzmagic some props, you know.
Fair enough.
Still, a lot of big talk coming from the Rams corner there. So we're going to see.
Hey guys, hope you're well. Sorry I couldn't make it on the show today. You'll see me next week. We got something special lined up for you guys as well. And to Hannah, who's our special guest, did you not say the 49ers were sorry 2 weeks ago? And then they've gone on to beat your Rams and the Patriots? I think someone owes 49ers Nation an apology. Well, outside of that, hope you guys have a great show. Much love and peace, and looking forward to seeing what we're coming up with next week.
When I said it, in my defense, the 49ers had just lost to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
The Rams loss was unfortunate. Very bad day for the Rams. When it comes to the Patriots, though, I'm sorry, you don't get to have the bragging rights for those ones because this is not the Patriots side we are used to.
Yeah. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed. I was thinking of you the whole time. As soon as I saw, touchdown after touchdown, the beating down you know, of your beloved Rams. But you know, it's all.
Someone enjoyed it.
Look, I'm a Giants fan. You can enjoy me for 1 week at least. So let's get to all of the news and gossip and stuff that's going on at the time of speaking, which is obviously Friday. Yay, Friday. So we're looking at is there a way back for the Cowboys this season? Obviously, it's I'm starting to feel sorry for them. Everything is going wrong for them. Obviously, they lost Dak. Then it just seems like they've lost their way, and then they lost their backup quarterback as well. Yeah, the team doesn't look like there's any unity in there. Obviously, when your QB normally gets rocked or hit or any form of assault that's happened to them, normally there's like a big huddle or a big like pushing and shoving, but there was nothing. People just walked past like it was nothing. So I'll start off with Hannah. Do you feel that there is any way back for the Cowboys to recover their season?
No. No, I feel the same as you. I feel really bad for Cowboys fans because, as ever, there was so much hype about them in the summer, and it's not just we're not winning. It's not just we've had a couple of unlucky losses. They have been depleted by injuries. They've lost their starting quarterback, the guy that's meant to be leading them for the future as well, regardless of what you might think about his contract situation. And now you've got players criticising coaches. That was last week, wasn't it? Saying, anonymous players saying the coaches have no idea what they're doing. They don't adapt. They're not very good at their jobs. This week, you've got coaches criticising the players for not getting around Andy Dalton, like you say. You're down to your third string quarterback. You've got Zeke Elliott fumbling, which hopefully was just a bad day at the office for him. You've got about 40% of their salary cap currently not on the field due to injury. It is as bad a situation as you can really be in. The strange thing of it all is, despite their 2-5 record, in the division they're in, they're still in with a chance, because that's the way of the NFC East. And then this week as well, I talked about this on Overtime this week on Sky Sports NFL, but to sort of sum up their season, Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, had to pause his press conference because he had Tabasco sauce and he rubbed it in his eye. That's his press conference. So I just feel like we're coming into week 8, halfway through the season. It doesn't look great. You get to that point where you just think, they've had such bad luck with injuries before you get to all the fallouts and the player coach drama that you just think, I don't know. I don't know what they can do. I really don't.
So I'm getting there.
Do you know what? As Hannah just said there, it is frightening that they still have a chance to actually turn this around because of how bad that division is. You look at that with the Giants, we shouldn't even be talking about, shouldn't even be considered. But when you look at the Eagles and obviously the Washington football team, I need to remember to say that each time. Yeah. With those guys there, obviously there's nothing to write home about. And the fact that the Cowboys have still got to play the Eagles twice as well, so they can obviously turn it around. Yes, it is bleak, but no matter what quarterback they put in there, actually, when you look at the players they can still have around there, you've got CD Lamb, for me, has been a bit of a shining light there. He does need to be fed a bit more. Amari Cooper's probably not actually hit the form that we expect him to hit. And Zeke, I think that is, one sort of fumble or one game of fumbling the way he did. I don't think we're going to have to worry about him too much. I actually think that they can actually turn this around and still top the division, which is scary.
They can probably top the division, and you make good points with the offensive weapons they've got. They do need to feed CD a bit more. My worry with them is their defense is still so bad that when you've got Dak Prescott as your starting quarterback, he's going to do the business and get you down the field and score touchdowns. When you're down to Andy Dalton, Ben DiNucci, who, let's be honest, did any of us know his name a week ago, you're not going to have that level of production from your quarterback, and you're not going to be able to keep your defense off the field for long enough. That, I think, is a real problem for them.
But if you've got a good running back, then you can run the ball a lot and chew the clock. And I think that's what they're going to become now. That ball might not actually get aired out that much, so we'll see.
I hope it's Zeke's fantasy team.
Well, honestly, I do feel sorry for anyone who's actually picked a majority of the Cowboys season, because there's a lot of on the fantasy team, because there's a lot of talk before that this is the season. Obviously, they say that a lot of the seasons, but obviously they look like quite well stacked, especially with CD Lamb coming in. You know, they look like they were the real deal, but unfortunately, it just looks like a house of cards. It's literally just like everything's just going wrong for them. But let's go on to race to the bottom. You know, obviously, you know, there are teams that are just actually bad. So that I would say that it's obviously the Jets and Giants are just terrible. Giants a little bit better than the Jets, I would assume. But you know, that's just maybe I'm being a homer there.
One more game.
Yeah. Well, we won a game. We look like we're trying anyway. We're just not that good. but I would say like there's obviously going to be teams now that are actually going to look like, even though they deny it, but look like they're going to be actively tanking. So I would say out of the race for the bottom, who's obviously needs Trevor Lawrence coming in, all-star QB, college star, who's looking to save someone's franchise. Who would you say, I'll start with Sam, is winning this race to the bottom?
So I'd say the Jets, just by stats-wise, are obviously not winning a game. But I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the answer for their problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think Sam Darnold's as bad as, we've spoken about this before, I don't think Sam Darnold's as bad as some people do sort of like to put him in that category. But I don't think so. I think there's a lot of other tools they put around. We knew there were going to be issues when Jamal Adams left and got traded. You know, we knew there were issues. So maybe when they were doing the trades and looking at picks, maybe this season was already a write-off in their mind. And that he knew that they needed to put a few other pieces together for the next draft. But Trevor Lawrence isn't going to go to the Jets, in my opinion. I don't think they would do that to Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's got the ability to be an NFL starting QB, whether that is with the Jets or someone else. I just don't think they'd waste a pick potentially on that QB.
Who do you think like if obviously they've got a you know, there's an opportunity there for them to be able to, you know, choose someone else, obviously. But who do you reckon who's the best place for him to go to?
The Broncos need Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion. Okay. I think they need a QB. I think they've been missing that big franchise QB that they can actually build a team around there. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think you might see them, if they don't completely tank, which, to be fair, that race to the bottom is tough because there's so many. They might end up trading up. You never know. I think that might be the case when it comes to the draft there, if they're going to go for the QB.
Hannah, get in there.
I kind of agree with Sam that the Jets are winning the race to the bottom. Yay, Jets fans, you're winning something. But I don't think that's where we're going to see Trevor Lawrence play this year. I agree. I think Sam Darnold is better than we see from him. And there's a lot more that's the problem at the Jets rather than the QB. I also think as well, there's a lot of conversation coming out, especially this week, as the Jets get closer and closer to that completely tanked season, from ex-players who now like TV analysts saying if they were Trevor Lawrence and the Jets had them all pick in the draft, they would either use their leverage to go somewhere else or they'd play another year of college football because you only have one shot at an NFL career. So it's an interesting dynamic there. I think the Broncos is an interesting shout. I also wonder whether the Jaguars would be interested because for years now we've been saying that the Jaguars are on the cusp. It's not that long ago that they're in an NFC championship game. For years it's been rebuild. Gardner Minshew, as entertaining as he can be, long term, is he a quarterback to build a team around and get to where you want to be? I'm not so sure. So I think maybe the Jaguars is an option. They've only won one game this season, so they'll very much be in the mix or thereabouts, I reckon, come draft time.
I think we've got to also have a look at some of the other teams that are, you know, obviously good enough to continue and be mediocre, but it's not in their DNA. So I would say like the Patriots, you've got to look at them. There might be a point where they're just like, you know what, like we're not going to win anything, so let's rebuild properly. And then also you've got to look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are obviously, I would say, are in a position where they're just that bad that they actually might fall into a decent position to be able to get him. Maybe.
I still think, we discussed this last time I was on, I still think Dak will be their quarterback next year. I 100% do. And as we were just saying just a few minutes ago, they've got the offensive weapons that they should be so much. You know, if they're all healthy, the Cowboys season will look very different to how it currently looks. So I can't see a big change coming in at quarterback for the Cowboys next season. Coach, possibly, but quarterback, no way. I reckon it'll still be Dak next year. I really do.
You're looking at the Jerry Jones. Like our logic is different than Jerry Jones's logic. Jerry Jones controls everything, and he loves the big star. He loves the whole attention that comes with it. So, with him, you never know. Like he could trade up to be able to get him or something like that. You know what he's like. I just don't trust him with that Prescott situation, especially now that Dak is injured. I can't really trust to say that he's actually going to do the right thing. I mean, he just released one of the players that happened to kneel for footballing reasons, he says, but
fitness reasons, he says, conditioning.
Yeah, you and I know better than that. That is.
I'm not saying anything. Not saying anything.
A lot more diplomatic than
I do.
Or she's going to get called from Jerry Jones herself.
No, I mean, look, we can only take it at face value, right? He was a player that knelt, but a lot of players did this season, and the league's been very vocal about what they will and won't do around people kneeling these days. So I think we have to take it at face value that it was a conditioning thing. That's what they're saying. We're not there.
I love poor innocent Hannah, who's going to believe this. Let's go into the NFC West. Like, definitely by far the best conference in the NFL. Now, I see that Sam already is struggling with this because I think he can see what's coming on the horizon. There could only be, there's going to be one of them who's going to be missing out. Let's just be honest. Unless there's some miracle that all teams end up in, especially one gets into the wild card. But
it could be three.
Could be three. But let's just see. Let's just say, it ain't going to be. So who would you say out of the NFC West who's actually going to come out of the NFC West? Who would you say is the favourite? So I'll start with Sam because he looks like he's in pain with this decision. And no homer picks.
What do you mean no homer picks? Of course it's going to be a homer pick. I think the Seahawks definitely Seahawks will make it out. Yeah. Albeit that, they're not as good as us because we beat them, and they got their lesson handed to them. I think Russell Wilson's still in the kitchen, still trying to find something he can cook to beat us.
Didn't you just scrape my hand? Don't even try it.
Listen, a win is a win.
You didn't leave the game until you won.
Doesn't matter.
Over 69 minutes of football, you didn't lead once.
And we did once, and that was what obviously caused us to win the game. The game. Wait, hold on, Hannah. The game doesn't just stop when someone starts winning. It's till the very end, which also just shows you how far the Cardinals have actually come along, and obviously done that. Look, Hannah, don't hate because the Rams aren't even going to get a mention, right? Because it's going to be the Seahawks and it's going to be the Cardinals that come out of there. I think the Rams have slowly matched their number now and things aren't clicking. And I think it might be too late for them. The 49ers shouldn't even be mentioned, but I will give them a mention because they are there holding everyone up at the moment. So I'll give them that. But to be honest, and in their defence, they are banged up. And 49ers, that's probably been probably unlucky for them, I suppose, on the injury front. We've done well. We managed to hold on other than Chandler Jones, which, to be fair, is going to hurt us down the long run and probably stop us reaching any further past the playoffs for us with him being out for the season. Albeit that we just raided the Giants for Marcus Golden as well. So that will obviously help us. But yeah, I think the Seahawks and the Cardinals do come out of this. The Rams, with their record, potentially have obviously got a chance just because of how bad everyone else is that they might be the third that sneak out of the division.
Can we please, generally, just show the Rams like an ounce of respect, not just from my biased point of view, but if you watch the Chicago game on Monday night, like it was not a thriller, don't get me wrong, but you can't tell me the Rams aren't clicking if you watch their defense play. I'm sorry, you just can't.
You were playing the Bears.
Doesn't matter. Good defense. It's still good defense.
Good defense. Very bad offense. You're going up against.
Play to the opposition. You can't. That's not their fault.
That's what we did when we beat the Seahawks.
Fair play. This is the thing. I think it's such a tight division. It's pretty much impossible to call, not least of all because there's only been 3 divisional games so far this season. This back half of the regular season is when we've got all the divisional matchups, and this is where we're really going to separate people out. Yes, I know the Cardinals have won 2 divisional games.
Okay.
But there's only been 3 total. So yes, I think this is when we're going to really see it. I think Jamal Adams, when he comes back, is going to help Seattle, and I think Seattle are definitely going to be there. Like, that's, despite their lack of defense, we know they're going to be there come January. Cardinals have got the same win record as the Rams, so I guess at this point it's a coin flip for them. But look, if you look down the NFC standings, if we went to the postseason tomorrow, you would have 3 NFC West teams in there. And it's going to be so tight. It's going to be so close. It angers me, and I'm sure it does you too, Sam, that you look at the records of the NFC East and you think one of them is going to be there in January at the expense of at least one team in the NFC West. And that, regardless of who that team is, that doesn't sit well, because it just doesn't seem right when they're it's such different levels. I think it's too early to call. I think it could be the Seahawks will be there, and then honestly, it could be any of the other 3 that get there or miss out. It really could.
Do you think that something like this will prompt the league to maybe reevaluate how people get in the playoffs?
Yeah,
potentially, because I think this is similar to what happened last year as well. The Cowboys got in with a win record that I think the Rams had the same win record, but obviously missed out. You've expanded the playoffs. I believe, I might be wrong, I think there's talk of expanding them again at some point in the future. But there is a limit to how much you can expand the playoffs generally. But I think absolutely, I think you have to start looking at those win percentages, because the fact of the matter is, I'm looking at the standings right now, and in the NFC West, Seahawks is 0.833, Cardinals around 714, 49ers 571. Top of the NFC East is 357 win percentage. Like, it's just, it's so imbalanced that maybe long term, that's what you look at. I guess the league's perspective will be, whole point of the draft system is that this will, 10 years time, this could be complete opposite scenario and it all balances out. But yeah, I think we'll know more in the next few weeks when we've had some more NFC West divisional games, because at the moment, just can't tell.
I encourage all this big talk now because it gives me more snippets to be able to use. So Sam's one definitely is going to put that on the poster. All this big talk about the Cardinals, and you better make it out of that division, because I promise you,
MVP. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh Lord of mercy! It's like, honestly, I
want to check the rest of your matches and see who you've got coming up. I need to look at the rest of your schedule.
Exactly, because I think there's going to be a different type of story. But actually, we've been doing this for many years now, and this is the first time that Sam's had a winning team to be able to talk about. So I'm going to give him that. In a moment,
Enjoy the moment. I enjoyed the moment a couple of years ago, and you do feel bitter when it ends.
Yeah, yours ended in an abrupt fashion. But you know what? To be honest with you, I have been impressed with the Rams this year, but. Who knows? I mean, Seattle's looking very good. 49ers, I don't think anyone should really sleep on them, because they're still getting good results in the meantime.
And their defense is great.
Defense is great,
despite how savage they've been by injury.
Exactly. I would say I'm very much enjoying watching this. A complete opposite with my division, the NFC least. So let's talk about AB. He's Antonio Brown's made his long-awaited return. Controversial figure, obviously. Before he was like quite the consummate professional, and then obviously stardom since that Facebook Live incident. Incident after incident after incident after incident took a turn for the worse, and he ended up getting a suspension. So obviously, but he's back now. He's back with his favorite QB, Mr. TB. I actually, funny enough, was thinking that it would be better for him to go to the Seahawks. I would have liked him to go there. I thought that would have been good for entertainment reasons and selfish reasons as well. But obviously, he's with Tampa Bay. So, Hannah, do you think that this makes Tampa Bay Buccaneers favourites for the Super Bowl now?
No, because if you weren't paying attention, they already were before they signed Antonio Brown. They look like the most complete team in the NFC, definitely, arguably the league. They've got the third scoring offense. They're fourth in the red zone. They've got the best rushing defense in the league. Tom Brady's settled in there. He's looking more and more comfortable every single week. They have got so many offensive weapons. They've had 8 players have had 10 or more receptions already through 7 weeks of the season. So no, I don't think them signing Antonio Brown makes them Super Bowl contenders. I'm intrigued to see if they use him at all, if if much. I think they already were up there. I know there's a lot of kind of head scratching as to why they've signed him, and Bruce Arians has said it's very much because a lot of their wide receivers are playing injured. So Scotty Miller, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans have all been suffering with injuries. But I don't think them adding Antonio Brown makes them a dangerous team, because I think they already were.
I like that. Very short, confident answer. Which rules out you guys winning the Super Bowl. You should be looking for some weaknesses there. I would say.
No, I'm not saying they'll win the Super Bowl. I'm saying at this moment, as of last week before, they look like the most complete team already. And if you don't recognise that and think Antonio Brown's something missing, then I think you're not paying attention.
Do you think, before we go to Sam, do you think that it would go well for him there? Do you think that he could be from what you know and what you've read? So you're way more informed than I am. That he's a changed figure and that he's going to comply.
I think if it doesn't go well, it's a very team-friendly deal. His base salary is fairly low. If he does anything out of line, they can get rid of him pretty quickly. I think for him, he's got to behave, for want of a better word, and the risk of making him sound like a child. Like, he's got to toe the line, he's got to fit in, he's got to be a team player, because they can get rid of him at the drop of a hat. That's how they've set this deal up. And we kind of had the similar conversation, I think, last time I was on with you guys about Lev Bell moving, and the impact that some players have on a locker room. And I think the same thing comes into play a bit with Antonio Brown. As I said with Lev Bell, there are some players that have this opinion of themselves and what they should be achieving at. And if they're at a team where they can feasibly get their hands on a ring, then I think they'll toe the line. And I think he hasn't played for a long time. It's what week was it last year that he stepped away from the Patriots? I don't even remember. He had 7 days with them or something like that. Yeah,
or 11 days max.
But that doesn't instill the hunger in you to do your job and be a team player, then I don't know what will.
Sam?
I don't know. Lost to the Saints. So it always worries me a little bit. I think AB is a good addition. I think AB is a good addition to the Bucs. Does it make them the favourites? No. I think you can't look past the Steelers, who are currently unbeaten, for me. And I think coming unstuck against the Saints, coming unstuck against the Bears shows a few frailties within their team. They're at the same record as obviously other people within other divisions, including the Rams and the Cardinals. Is it a good move, though? Yes. Why would you not add? Why would you not strengthen? And as you said, to give Tom Brady an extra weapon, come on. And I think Brady's actually I'm seeing an improvement of Brady week on week as he's got used to this system even more. And because look how long he's with Belichick. That was always going to have a little bit of a transitional period. No preseason as well. So when it comes to the Super Bowl, we talk about form, right? People coming into form at the right time. And I think that is quite frightening. The Bucs are coming into even more form than adding AB.
And this is what Tom Brady always did with the Patriots as well, right? They never started a season well. He always gets better. And I'm not saying that that he's not going to improve them as a team. My point is that they were already looking very complete and very strong before they added him in.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a shame that he didn't go to the Seahawks. I don't know would you always thinking that was it?
I think it's a personality thing. I think someone like Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, their sort of personalities mean they can manage a personality like Antonio Brown in a very different way. Whereas, Seattle is Russell Wilson's team. It has been for a long time now. There's obviously a really strong setup and a fine dynamic that they've got there between him and the other players. He's the guy. You almost think someone like Antonio Brown coming into that setup could blow up a locker room. Whereas when you've got Tom Brady and Bruce Arians and you've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin who've been there for ages, and you've got that more. You've got more kind of senior players there. He can't come in and compete to be the star player when you look at, he's got Tom Brady there and you've got Gronk and all the rest of it that have achieved so much. Whereas going to Seahawks, you could almost see him blow up that locker room, I think.
Yeah.
Let's hope for the sake of his own career, because this is definitely last chance saloon. For him, I would say. And people don't normally get that many chances. Usually it's like strike one, you're out. They haven't got much patience. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully it ends up being going well for him. Let's get into game predictions now. So last night or this morning or wherever we are, because I stayed up to watch the game. I'm literally still surviving on fumes. With energy and strength, I'm going to give you on my analysis of the game. I think that I don't know if you guys watched it as well. Obviously we recording quite early here, but it was 17-25 Falcons. I was quite surprised that the Falcons won because I kind of as with Hannah's first episode, I was like pretty much blow up the team. I was half right. Obviously they got rid of their.
You were like, nuke it, blow it up.
Just like blow it up. It's just not working in any form of way. But I was impressed with Teddy Bridgewater. I liked his leadership. I was surprised that they seemed to stick to the run too much. I think they had to beat them with the two wide receivers, and I just don't know why that why they didn't go. But anyway, McCaffrey is back next week, and I'm sure that normal service will resume now. And all of the people that have him in their fantasy team are extremely happy, meaning me.
Because I have Mike Davis, so the last few weeks he's been getting loads of production. He had a quiet night last night, but I was quite enjoying the fact that everyone who drafted CMC week one really smug, and now I'm like, actually, you wanted Mike Davis.
Well, you see, now I'm smug now because I needed him to have that type of game, because then it proves now it's a nice, easy transition because he's run out of fuel, he's had his fun. Now it's time for the boss to come back and take hold of his rightful position and give me all of those fantasy points to clinch me my first title. So let's go on to the first. Let's go to the first game on Sunday. I'll start with you, Hannah. Bengals and Titans. Who have you got?
The Titans. Do I need to say much more?
I have to be fair. I don't want the fans atting me.
Okay, the Titans. Titans are 5-1. The Bengals are 1-5-1. And Joe Burrow is great. And there are reasons to be cheerful if you're a Bengals fan. Don't get me wrong. But Ryan Tannehill is doing what they paid him to do. Their offense is running the ball, passing the ball, scoring. Their defense is okay. It's doing enough. But yeah, I just don't think there's much that the Bengals can really do to stop Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
there's not much anyone can do to stop him.
He's not human, but I don't understand.
One of the worst ranked defenses in the leagues, I think, is going to have a really bad day.
So let's go on to the Lions and Colts. Sam, who you got for that?
The Lions. I just don't see the Colts coming out of that either. I actually think watching Mr. Stafford turn up, what he can get done in seconds. Sam, your Wi-Fi seems to be. I think someone's playing havoc on me. I think ever since I started talking about how good the Cardinals were, my internet has gone down.
Yeah.
So I'm blaming Hannah.
I have my clever way.
Hannah called in some favourites, but you went with the Lions, right?
Funny enough, my internet is actually with Sky, so I'm definitely. Yeah, you're definitely coming.
I can't do that. Obviously, wouldn't do that. That's for.
But no, just. The Lions for me, Stafford, watching how he, don't give Stafford any time. As we saw last week, what he got done in the was it a minute and a half they gave him from where obviously Gurley, Todd Gurley, schoolboy. I'm going with the Lions on this one. Although with Rivers, you just never know with him. He's so inconsistent that sometimes he has a worldy game and then all of a sudden burns up the next week. But still, the Lions for me.
I went for the Colts for this one on overtime this week, and I've been worried about it. But my gut feeling is that actually the Colts defense is really good, and the Lions offense can be so up and down that I think it might be a defensive job that wins this one.
I'm gonna regret asking Hannah this one because this is gonna be real easy homer pick here. We've got the Dolphins and Rams. I reluctantly asked Hannah, who have you got?
Well, you can't bet against your team, right? So I have to go for the Rams, but I will caveat it with this.
Okay.
Tua's debut makes me nervous because he hasn't played since he dislocated a hip back in 2019. So there is no recent game film of him, bar a couple of snaps in garbage time against the Jets a few weeks ago. So I think Aaron Donald will welcome him warmly to NFL football.
Plenty of hugs.
A little bit nervous because those few snaps he played, I thought he looked great, really mobile. But yeah, there's nothing on him, so he could do a number. And to be fair to the Dolphins as well, their defense is playing great.
We'll move to the Browns and Raiders. Who have you got, Sam?
I'm actually going to go with the Raiders on this one. I think that this will be a closer game. I just think there's a few underlying issues going on. The Browns, obviously, with Odell, obviously now injured as well. Something's happening there. It's just not clicking. I think this trial of bringing in a few different superstars just isn't working. And Baker looks a bit sidetracked as well. So I'll take the Raiders. And I think Henry Ruggs has a very good game this game. Just purely for the fact that a deep threat in the secondary for the Browns, I don't think we'll be able to keep up with the pace of him. And I think Derek Carr will use him quite a lot. Yeah,
let's see if Myles Garrett agrees, because he is like, him and Aaron Donald having their own personal sack race war. I'm really impressed with him this season. Honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of his last season, but especially with that strangeness with the Steelers and the explanation and his description of what happened after didn't make any sense to me. But I mean, he's redeemed himself, play wise anyway. So let's Hannah, let's move on to the Bears and Saints. Who you got?
This one's a tough one. I think ultimately the Saints take it for me, because I said this when they went into the game against the Rams on Monday night, but I struggle to see the Bears record, which is now 5-2, and see them as a 5-2 team when you think of other teams around the league that are 5-2, much like the Cardinals. Sam, look, I'm being complimentary. I think the Saints will do this one. Like we mentioned earlier, like the Bears offense just isn't great. Saints got decent defense, and as long as I think they should have Michael Thomas back this week as well on the Saints, which is going to make a huge difference. I mean, they've obviously still been winning games without him, but the man's top wide receiver in the league, so you can't really underestimate that. So yeah, I think the Saints will get this one.
I'm actually loving watching the Bears defense sometimes, and the contrast to their offense is I've never seen a team like this ever. Saints struggling, I just don't seem the same at all in any form way. And
they're not the same, but I think they'll do the business over the Bears. I really do.
I just think the Bears just out.
Yeah, but I think the Saints aren't the team they were. It's definitely sort of the downward slope of the sort of glory years of Breeze, Kamara, Thomas, etc. But I just can't see the Bears putting up enough points on offense to outscore Drew Brees ultimately.
So let's move on to the Eagles and Cowboys in the NFC East. Sam, who you got?
I think anyone that watches this, soldier on and watch this. My God.
Sports NFL.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Do watch it.
Can't imagine that.
Well, purely for the fact that how beaten up the QBs are at the Cowboys, I think the Eagles will obviously win this. But I think this could be one of those games that we'll see. I'm not saying it'll be as electric as the Seahawks and Cardinals game was, but I do see this going right to the wire. I think it's going to just be trading back and forth. And not to say it's going to be like high scoring. I think it'll be very low scoring. I think they'll be turned over and down so many times that it will be quite low scoring for me. But yes, the Eagles win.
Not much for me on this one. Honestly, I'd rather move on with this horrible division that we're in. So Hannah, let's move on to the Packers and Vikings. Big game, big game. Who you got?
Game. And the Packers, like, they just against 5-1 against 1-5. Aaron Rodgers is in the form of his life. Yeah, I don't know really what else I can say against this one. They feel so unevenly matched, really. I mean, it's first versus fourth in the division, which tells you everything you need to know. The Vikings defense is really struggling. Kirk Cousins can be so up and down. You just never know what version of him is going to turn up. Yeah, Packers, this one for me, by a mile, really.
Hannah, just a question. Do you think that they should move on from Kirk Cousins?
Oh, that's a question I haven't given much thought to. Potentially, because he's so inconsistent, and every year it feels like every off season we talk about the Vikings like they're a team that always gets there or thereabouts, and they got to the playoffs last year, right? And he got a couple of monkeys off his back, but lo and behold, you start this season and it's just like, what's happened since January? Obviously a lot's happened in the world since January, but still it's just so inconsistent. And yeah, you do wonder. I think they'll give him a little bit longer, but at some point in the not too distant future, I think those questions will be asked, because there was one game this season he had a passer rate QBR rating of like 15, which is just, I think I could maybe do better. I don't know, I can't even play football.
Right, Sam, Jets and Chiefs, revenge for Le'Veon Bell. Who you got for this one?
Why are you asking me this question?
You got the Jets, right?
Yeah.
You never know.
Definitely. I think that the Chiefs could win this with one hand tied behind their back. Everyone, I think it's that going to be that easy. Can't wait for Mahomes to put up some big numbers, because I need it this week. I need it.
You do.
So it's coming. It's coming. This will be horrible to watch.
What I will say on this one is, I think last week Patrick Mahomes was only on the field for like 12 of the points the Chiefs scored. I almost wonder if he'll try and better that this week. Because why wear yourself out? Save
exactly.
him.
I think what would be good in this particular game if Mahomes only plays for one half, because I don't really think they should waste his time playing for one half and then anyone who
tell people the reason. Tell people the reason why you're saying that.
I care about his behalf.
Playing each other in fantasy this week.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
I don't know how you came to that conclusion, but we just happened to be. Do what's right, Chiefs. Save him for another game. It's not worth it with this one. So then let's go with the Ravens and Steelers. Hannah, who you got? Big game. This one.
My good. Right. Do you know what? No matter which team you pick here, it's such a close game. You can't make a bad call on this, because it's going to be such a tough 1-2 call. I think I went with the Steelers on overtime just because I'm just backing that winning record. I want to see them get to 7-0. But this could really go either way. I think this is going to end up being a bit of an old school AFC North defensive slugfest. I really do. I don't think we're going to see masses of points scored, because both these teams have great defenses. And it's going to have such important implications further down the road when it comes to playoffs. I mean, I think the Steelers maybe just edge it, because I'm really enjoying watching the Steelers at the moment.
Best team.
They're a great team, but at the same time, we want to see sort of Lamar Jackson kind of back to where he was a bit last year, because it feels like he's not quite boiling where he was. I think it's quite low scoring, defensive slugfest, but I'm going to stick with the Steelers going 7-0, mostly because I want to see Big Ben looking gobsmacked on the sideline again, like he did at the end of the day.
That was funny. Love that. Let's move to the Bills and Patriots. Sam, who you got?
I think the Bills. I do. The Patriots. It's really quite upsetting to see what's happened there. Like, I know it just shows. Well, actually, it's not upsetting. It's about time we had something new. But this will blow it up completely for the Bills. I think if they can win this as well, people might take them a bit more seriously. I've been taking them seriously from the start. I think this will actually bring a few more people to their side of the fence a little bit. But I think they win this quite comfortably. I think Cam Newton, as you spoke about earlier, Dre, was that I think that they might need to restart there as well and start from the QB. So this will probably put Cam Newton on the bench, I reckon, after this game.
I was quite shocked. Sorry, go on.
I mean, they benched him last week against San Francisco, and Jared Stidham didn't play much better. Like, Cam's not playing like he was at the beginning of the season. Yeah. He's been on a steady decline since he came back from COVID. But I don't think their other option is that strong. It's interesting, isn't
it? SOS for
and I just
a new QB, I'm telling you.
Since he had that positive COVID test and a couple of other players and knock-on effect, I wonder if just in his head something's gone a bit there, because
it's literally after
he's a very psychological
COVID,
player.
wasn't it?
And also, he did test positive for COVID. We don't know what symptoms or symptom level he had. You don't know what the lasting effect may or may not be. He might not have had a single symptom. He might have felt fine. You just don't know. Like, psychologically, physically, what are the lasting impacts?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we got to wish him well. Because I think he was doing really well
the first couple of weeks as well. We want that back. The Patriots were fun to watch. Pre
him getting coming down with COVID, he was doing really well, and it seems like all the people that weren't Cam fans are just jumping on the bandwagon about his clothes and all that stuff now. And where I'm a bit more of a traditionalist, where I like I'm not into my QBs wearing tailored hats and all that stuff after a beat down, but I don't like him getting beat down by so many different of these pundits. But we are in a hurry up, so I will.
I think that's what we need.
On. Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's nice to be able to have some color, but I just think there is a traditionalist view that it's just like it doesn't set with the old fashioned way of thinking, and I'm definitely from that. Where it's like, if you've got a beat down, it's just like, well, should we be wearing a hat with a feather to the side? And it just wrongfully, and I admit that, but it comes across a little bit like it's not hitting you as hard as it should. But
so your clothes should reflect how you're playing. I fundamentally disagree.
Yeah.
Personal style can't be turned off and on based on how you're doing at work. I don't have a bad day at work and go, I better wear a sack.
Yes, you've got to bring two sets of clothes. No, get out of here. Get out of here.
If he walked out wearing a tracksuit, everyone would be going, I almost said catsuit, then imagine. If he walked out wearing a tracksuit. I'm not going to
be surprised.
Everyone would just be like, oh my goodness, Cam's head's gone, definitely, because he's lost his swag. This is not the Cam Newton. Come on, I can't win.
You know what, to be honest with you, I think that he can't win. So no matter what happens, if you're winning, no one can say anything. But if you're losing, doesn't matter whether you're wearing a tracksuit or a three-piece suit, or a cat suit or a witch's suit, as it's Halloween. People will come for you no matter what. So, so let's move on, Hannah. Let's move on to the Broncos and Chargers quickly. What's your view on that one?
Chargers. I am loving watching Justin Herbert. Great that he finally got his first win as a starter, because even his first few games he played, even though they were losses, he was all we were talking about, and he was going up against some great teams and some great quarterbacks. He played Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and he very much held his own. I think he's great for the Chargers. This might not be a great season for them overall. Let's keep realistic, but definitely reasons to be positive. And even though he's got arguably the worst defensive line in the league, he's making them look better, because he's got the scope that when he drops back, he can drop so far back in 2 steps because he's so tall, and then loft that ball. So yeah, I think the Chargers, I think there's more momentum with them as well. And I think the Broncos, for me, just aren't really firing on all cylinders, and Drew Lock maybe isn't the solution they hoped it would be.
So the next game is the game I'm looking forward to the most, because it's like the game of the weekend, in my personal view. The Seahawks 49ers. Sam, who you got for that one?
The Seahawks will win this. I don't see 49ers causing an upset. I think the Seahawks will have too much of them. And as I said, the 49ers are so beaten up right at the moment. They haven't got their better players that are going to be on the field to maybe put them up what we were expecting at the start of the year. For me, it's a shame, because as we've said about this division, it would have been maybe even more competitive than what it already is, having the 49ers with a full strength side. But I think the Seahawks will want to bounce back, especially they can't afford to go off the back of 2 divisional losses. They just won't be able to do that. So I think that mindset will be sort of driven in by Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll this week, that I think they'll want something to prove, and it will be quite comfortable from this week.
I agree. I think 49ers are going to have a shot in this game. They've just got to pass the ball a lot, because the Seattle pass defense is poor, and it's much worse even than their run defense. And obviously, we know they're not a good team defensively. The problem with that, though, is I don't think Kyle Shanahan trusts Jimmy G all that much. They don't.
Yeah.
They're a running team. He didn't throw a single touchdown in the game against the Patriots. But if they can trust Jimmy G enough to play a passing game, then they may have a foot in the door here, because their defense is strong. They're the defense I think they could possibly present a bigger problem than most to Russell Wilson. But yeah, I'm with you.
I think Jimmy G's had a problem with his ankle, so he's not been able to plant it down. And there's a little bit of coverage I saw during the last game where he actually couldn't put his foot down properly to be able to throw the ball properly. So I think it's on the mend, but you can see that it's heavily strapped. So, I definitely, that's why he had to be yanked out of one of the games. So we'll see.
Even before that, there's always been questions around him a little bit in that offense. And, there's all those rumours that they were really interested in Brady over the summer. So I don't know. I just think they've got to trust him to pass the ball, because that's the way they could cause an upset to Seattle.
Wait a minute. I'm just realising this is the same division, and this is a bit
we
of
would like both teams to lose.
I just realised what's going on here. This is
a draw. Actually, if they drew, this could help both LA and Arizona.
Yeah. You see,
as much as I'd love that, I don't see it.
49ers and Seahawks fans, Dan's definitely going to be watching. I apologise for this. They just snuck this on me. Hannah, is this an easy win for the Giants against the Buccaneers last game?
Absolutely not. What did we just talk about?
He tried really hard to catch you out there. I like what you did.
Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah, it was clever because it did make me pause. I was
like,
who's the Giants got? And then I was like, no, they've got the Bucks. Bucks all the way for this one. I mean, we spoke about them so much earlier. They're such a complete-looking team. And now adding Antonio Brown, Gronk is coming into form. He's finally kind of showed up the past couple of games. I just can't see. I just can't see a way through it for your beloved Giants, I'm afraid.
This is a sad state of affairs. Hannah, tell us what games are coming up on Sky at the weekend.
We have got all the big divisional games this weekend. So we've got Steelers, Ravens. We've got the 49ers, Seahawks. We've got the Cowboys, Eagles. There's two more. There's two more or one more. We've got the Bucks, Giants. Hold on. No, that's your lot. Yeah, so
that's it. That's the one. Yeah.
Steelers, Ravens, 49ers, Seahawks, Cowboys, Eagles, Bucks, Giants.
Boom. And can you let the 49ers and Seahawks fans know where to contact you on your Insta?
Wait, what's your handle? No, look, I've got nothing but respect for those two teams. Sam knows NFC West is the hardest division in the league. Like, it's the toughest. We're blessed that it's so competitive, but yeah, nothing but respect. Just this is a nice opportunity when I come on here. I get to be a bit biased.
I'm gonna put both of their details down below. Trust me, you're more than welcome to let them know what you think. What have you guys got planned over the weekend?
I'm working quite a bit.
Have you? Oh. Yeah, you're all right. I've got my Cardinals Kyler Murray MVP picket that I'm going to take outside the Sky studio so you can see it, Hannah.
Sure.
Yeah, so
just to walk outside.
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, I'm not there this weekend because I'm working from home. But yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't turn up at your house because it will be a little bit creepy.
Just slightly. Next week, what we'll do is we'll go through the actual. We'll have a debate about MVPs because we will be at that point halfway through the season. Yeah, exactly. I know there's some people.
MVP.
We could do a mid-season. We'll do that. Hannah's going to join us again next week to cause trouble. We'll have Dan back. Sam will be here, still repping his Cardinals, and just see if they lose this week, and also see if he loses on fantasy as well, because he's had a bit of a hard week this week, triple losses. So we'll see what happens next week. But guys, please, keep on looking for all of our content on Altsport and Verge Magazine. Contact Hannah up below. Big up for Hannah, always being part of the team. I'm not going to say special guest anymore because she's one of the crew. Definitely,
I like
she's
to
one
feel
of the
special.
family. No, noted. There's a special guest next week again. Is Hannah joining us? And obviously check out all the coverage on Sky Sports NFL. And then the Tuesday show, which is becoming my favourite show. with her and Josh running through all the news and events of the NFL better than us, but yeah, until then, guys, we will see you next week. Peace.
Bye.